Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the poem of the day for today, Saturday, August 9th, 2025. The poem today was composed around 1819 and published in 1820, and it's written by Percy Bysshe Shelley, who you may know by association with his wife and more famous writer, Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. I said more famous. Percy Shelley, in his own right, was a celebrated and prolific poet, but I think that, at least within the common culture, more people know of Mary Shelley and know of Frankenstein. Frankenstein has had a more kind of lasting impact on the cultural memory than Shelley's poems. Not to say that Percy Shelley's poems were not influential or aren't still lasting. A lot of students, for example, still read Ozymandias. But today we're going to read The Cloud. And again, this was written in 1819, published in 1820. And you're going to hear a lot about cycles of nature in here. And I'll have just a little bit to say at the end of the poem. So this is The Cloud by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I bring fresh showers for the thirsting flowers from the seas and the streams. I bear light, shade for the leaves when laid in their noonday dreams. From my wings are shaken the dews that waken the sweet buds every once. When rocked to rest on their mother's breast as she dances about the sun. I wield the flail of the lashing hail and whiten the green plains under. And then again I dissolve it in rain and laugh as I pass in thunder. I sift the snow on the mountains below, and their great pines groan aghast. And all the night 'tis my pillow white, while I sleep in the arms of the blast. Sublime on the towers of my skiey bowers, lightning my pilot sits. In a cavern under is fettered the thunder, it struggles and howls at fits. Over earth and ocean with gentle motion, this pilot is guiding me, lured by the love of the genii that move in the depths of the purple sea. Over the rills and the crags and the hills, over the lakes and the plains, wherever he dream, under mountain or stream, the spirit he loves remains. And I all the while bask in heaven's blue smile, whilst he is dissolving in rains. The sanguine sunrise, with his meteor eyes, and his burning plumes outspread, leaps on the back of my sailing rack when the morning star shines dead. As on the jag of a mountain crag, which an earthquake rocks and swings, an eagle alit one moment may sit in the light of its golden wings. And when sunset may breathe from the lit sea beneath, its ardors of rest and of love, and the crimson pall of eve may fall from the depth of heaven above. With wings folded I rest on mine airy nest, as still as a brooding dove. That orbed maiden, with white fire laden, whom mortals call the moon, glides glimmering o'er my fleece like floor, by the midnight breezes strewn. And whenever the beat of her unseen feet, which only the angels hear, may have broken the woof of my tent's thin roof, the stars peep behind her and peer, and I laugh to see them whirl and flee like a swarm of golden bees when I widen the rent in my wind-built tent till the calm rivers, lakes, and seas, like strips from the sky fallen through me on high, are each paved with the moon and these. I bind the sun's throne with a burning zone, and the moon's with a girdle of pearl. The volcanoes are dim and the stars reel and swim when the whirlwinds my banner unfurl. From cape to cape with a bridge-like shape over a torrent sea, sunbeam proof I hang like a roof, the mountains its columns be. The triumphal arch through which I march, with hurricane, fire, and snow, when the powers of the air are chained to my chair, is the million-colored bow. The sphere fire above its soft colors wove, while the moist earth was laughing below. I am the daughter of earth and water, and the nursling of the sky. I pass through the pores of the ocean and shores. I change, but I cannot die. For after the rain, when with never a stain the pavilion of heaven is bare, and the winds and the sunbeams with their convex gleams build up the blue dome of air, I silently laugh at my own cenotaph, and out of the caverns of rain, like a child from the womb, like a ghost from the tomb, I arise and unbuild it again. When reading that poem, it's difficult not to slip into those units of 1.5 lines that bear within them internal rhymes, and then the alternating half lines rhyme. It's hard not to fall into the sing-songy, almost kind of toast-like rhythm that is within them. It seems, as you're reading it, like there's a movement forward and a pull back. A movement, a whole line forward, a half line pull back, almost like a cycle of, I was feeling like waves while I was reading it, that that there's a cyclical nature to it, which I think is what Shelley is highlighting within the form of this poem, but also within the content of the poem. And the thing that I was struck particularly by as I was reading it a couple times this morning is the ways in which he characterizes this cloud as not just a sentient and intentional being, but as something kind of primordial and a part of nature that exerts a will, even to the point that it cannot die. So in my own experience of nature, when I see something like the leaves grow on trees and then wither and fall and leaves come back the next year, I think of them as new leaves, part of the same tree, but new matter. And so I would not really call them the same leaves. The way that Shelley is describing this cloud and the way that the cloud disperses and then other clouds gather, I perceive it as other clouds. He's perceiving it as that same cloud reconstituting itself. And that's an interesting way to think of nature on the level of matter and atom, because Shelley, in a preface or an introduction to his wife's novel Frankenstein, wrote about the central action of that story being the revival of the dead, and that was not an impossible idea. That reading some of the works of Darwin, he believed that the resurrection of the dead in a literal form on Earth was something that was actually possible. And so you could see that, I think, within the way that he's characterizing the cloud in this poem. So that was kind of the general takeaway that I had from it, which is not much given the length of the poem itself, but I thought that it was maybe the most interesting and kind of strange idea that is consistent with his grouping as a dark romantic writer, to think of nature not as something that is restorative and transcendent towards the individual, but something that has perhaps a will of its own, and one that's outside of the reach of our understanding and our control and our expectation. That's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me, and may peace be with you all.